G'day, Big V. Welcome to our senior podcast, Division 1 Men here, and we're going to dissect this ladder because you could almost say it's pretty much locked away with our top 5 finals here. Out of the 11 of them, they've only got one more round left here, and there's some interesting matchups. We have Shepparton, who are on top, and they're 2 games clear. They're on 16 wins and 3 losses. RMIT is sitting second with 14-5 marks. So Shepparton have Southern Peninsula this coming weekend. You'd expect that to be a W to put them at 17-3.
Yeah, well done to Shepparton. It'll be the second year in a row they've finished first in the ladder in Div 1 Men.
Yep.
Please excuse me, I'm a little bit unwell. But yeah, so well done to Shepparton. They're the best defensive team in the league by far. They're probably going to get it done against Southern Peninsula this weekend, you'd imagine, to finish with a nice 17-3 record and having the first week off. So, yeah, well done to the Gators.
Yeah, absolutely. RMIT probably going to lock up second place as they host Collingwood on the weekend to probably put themselves at 15-5 for the season. So they will host round 1. Potentially, at the moment, by the looks of it, is going to be against Gippsland, but things could change here. We're unsure of heads at the moment because there's a lot that can really happen.
Yeah, it's 100%. So yeah, let's make that clear to the listeners that we have not calculated the head-to-heads just yet. So that is something to take into consideration. But RMIT are looking primed and ready to lock up that second position. They're likely to host Gippsland, we imagine. But Chelsea did have an upset win this week with Elijah Davey and Aaron Frost going off. So who knows? Maybe Gippsland will have to make sure they rock up to that game with the right frame of mind so they can lock up that finishing in that double chance zone.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's going to be interesting no matter what. I mean, having to go, if Warrnambool finish 4th, anyone having to travel to Warrnambool is going to be very, very interesting. If you see Gippsland and Pakenham, if they somehow end up versing each other, that'll be incredibly interesting, as well as a grand final appearance in Division 2 men last year. And that's quite the rivalry the two of them are brewing over in the Gippsland region, which is awesome to see for Big V basketball. But then, if Warrnambool host Gippsland or Pakenham or the other way around, that's some big trouble.
Yeah, and obviously when you're covering those sort of distances, though, that will come into consideration when people are making their predictions. So, Pakenham and Warrnambool have games I'd expect to win with, Bulleen, Coburg, who have had a really good back end of the year, both of them. But realistically, with Warrnambool and Pakenham getting ready for finals, and the other two sort of maybe checking out a little bit, we would anticipate they'd both get wins, and then it comes down to head-to-head who's beaten who this year to see who will host that final. But travel will 100% come into that.
Absolutely. But then you look sort of from a different perspective. You got Bulleen going to Warrnambool this weekend, and yes, their season is pretty much basically over. They've just got to just travel to Warrnambool and then head home. And they've got nothing to lose here, so are they just going to go and just try and upset Warrnambool? Coburg as well, a team that's probably not going to make finals here. They're being hosted by Pakenham. Are they just going to try and completely upset Pakenham here as well?
Yeah, you think that's with your coach hat on. That's the only way you can try and sell it to your team, can't you? When the season is done, there's nothing. This game doesn't really mean anything for them. But I tell you what, when you start to disrupt the finals and teams that are preparing for finals, that's where it sort of gets a little bit more interesting. That's where your players can sort of, I guess, lift their intensity and rise to the occasion to try and cause a little bit of havoc.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you're thinking about it from an end-of-season perspective. They're not going to be playing the week after, so how do you want your season to go out? Do you want to finish on a win? Do you want to finish on a loss? Do you want to fight your way out of the season, or are you sort of happy to just, be content about it? I know my preference personally, but, it honestly could be any which way.
Yeah, and coaches and players' mentality cannot always align on that one, unfortunately, Ted. No. So, it'll be a very interesting week of basketball, and how exciting. This is one of our closest top 5s across the whole league. and we're about to go into finals.
Absolutely. Keep it locked with Big V. We'll catch you all very soon.